Hey ladies, welcome back to our series about boys. Today I want to share some things that I've learned about what do you do if you're crushing on your best friend. Because this happens to almost all of us, I would say, and that's just part of life sometimes, but it's important to know, what do you do with it? Because here's the thing, feelings come and feelings go, and there are times when I've liked a guy for all of 5 hours and then I'm over and on to the next one. Actually, usually when I was in high school, I liked like 3 guys at a time because I could never decide on just one. My feelings come, my feelings go, and that's the nature of feelings. And here's the other thing about feelings. You can develop a crush on pretty much anybody. If you just think about them in a romantic way or put yourself in romantic situations with them, you will probably develop a crush at some point of some sort. And so because it's so easy for feelings to come and go out of nowhere, it's important to kind of think a little bit before you decide what to do if you have a crush on your best friend. So the first thing to ask yourself is this: do you really like them for them, or is it just the situations you've been putting yourself in are really romantic, or you've been thinking about them in a romantic way in your head? Because like we said yesterday, where your mind goes, your heart follows. Or do you just like each other because all your friends are telling you how amazingly perfect you would be together? And I know that I've had some guy friends who I didn't even like them until everybody around me was like, you guys would be so cute. And then I'm like, maybe I do like him. Sometimes friends and family can see things we can't and how we'd be perfect with somebody, but sometimes they're just well-intentioned and it's just really confusing. So kind of spend some time just thinking about it. Like, do I really like this person, or is this kind of like a feelings come, feelings go kind of thing? The second thing I would do is just give it a little time. Only because feelings do come and go so fast, I think it can be good to just wait a few weeks, you know, maybe 2 weeks even, or a month, and just kind of see if you still have feelings for that person. Just to make sure like this is a legit thing and you're not gonna, totally change the dynamic of your friendship because you're like, I like you after 5 minutes, and then you're like, actually I don't like you anymore 5 minutes later. So you wanna it's only fair to the other person to kind of make sure that you legitimately do like them. And then the third thing I would do is talk to just a couple close trusted friends who are not gonna go spread this around like drama and gossip, but a couple of friends you trust their opinion, and maybe your parents or like another adult or two that you really trust, and just kind of see do you think we'd be good together? Do you think this is a good idea to move from friendship to more than friends? And as you're talking with friends and family, take some time to pray about it too, and just see if God puts anything in your heart about it. I remember one of my guy friends, I thought I really liked him and I started praying about it and I just did not feel peace about it at all. I was like, oh, this is not a good idea. I should not be dating this guy. That being said, there have been plenty of times when I felt lots of peace only to have the guy not be interested. So clearly we weren't meant for each other, but hey, at least he knew even if I didn't. And that's not to say that just because you feel a peace in your heart, it is God's will for you to be together. I think that can be a tricky thing because our emotions can so easily mimic how we hear God's voice, which is why it's so important to get outside perspective as well. And then the fourth thing that I would do is think about the risks versus the benefits. So the risks of moving to more than friends are that it could change your friendship later on if you decide you don't want to be together. And that's not always true, but a fair amount of the time I think it can really change the dynamic of a relationship once you've dated. And think about the timing, are one of you about to leave for your first semester away at college, 12 hours away? Maybe that's not the greatest time to start dating. And that could be a sign that maybe you're suddenly liking the person is because you want to keep things kind of as they are. And there's this fear of losing the person, which isn't a bad thing, but it doesn't necessarily mean you really like them for the long term. Or is it a time in a season that makes sense and you think, yeah, how good this could be kind of outweighs the risks in my mind? And if you decide that, okay, yeah, my friends and my family are on board, I think the benefits outweigh the risk, I think I really do like this person, it's not just a 5-second thing, then it's up to you what you do next. I think a lot of girls feel but the guy has to say something first. And I don't actually agree with that. James and I talked about this in a different video, which I'll link up above, called 5 Things Girls Want to Know About Boys. And he talked about how just because a girl makes the first move and asks the guy, like, do you want to get coffee, or brings up a conversation about the relationship, doesn't mean that she's the one pursuing it, because who's pursuing the relationship you see over time. It's not a one-time thing. It's like what you see over time. So if you like really want the guy to pursue you, just because you have the first conversation doesn't mean that he won't pursue you. And I think a lot of times for guys, it can be really confusing to know what to do if you start to like the person as more than friends. It's like, well, I kind of like her, but like, will she want to date me? Like, what if she just wants to be friends and thinks I'm dumb and I ruin the relationship? Like, I think guys get a lot of the same thoughts that us girls do and the same worries. And so for either person to put themselves out there is scary. So I actually, in my 20s, decided to tell a guy friend that I liked him. So I'm gonna tell you the story of that. So this was my friend Austin, who I told you about yesterday. We'd been friends for a long time and had some of those conversations like, we're gonna just be friends, that's it. But then I went through this season where I was like, what if he's like the person for me? I really like him. And I just couldn't get out of my head. I waited a few months, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell him. And I was so nervous. I remember like, I was not myself at all that day. We like went Christmas shopping together, and I was like so awkward the whole time because I was so nervous, and I just kept putting it off and putting it off. I was like, what if I ruin our friendship? And so finally, right before we left, I was like, I'm gonna do it. And so I was like, please don't let this be weird. And he's probably thinking, now that you said that, it's already weird. But I was like, please don't let this be weird. But like, I've been thinking for a while about us and how I feel like we might be really good together. And I really like you, and I have for a long time. And if you just want to be friends, that's okay. But I need to be honest with you about where I'm coming from. And I remember him saying like, I've been thinking some of those same things, but like every time I pray about us being together, I just really feel like God is saying that he has somebody else for you. And now I can see that he was totally right. There was someone so much better for him and so much better for me. So he ended up being 100% right. But I remember him saying like, I want to go to your wedding and shake your husband's hand and look him in the eye and tell him that I always treated you with respect. And we went back to being friends. And I felt more loved than ever before as a friend. And so if you decide to share, just do it in a low pressure way. And here's what I've been feeling and thinking. But if you just want to stay friends, that's totally fine. I don't want to make this weird. Kind of just put it out there. You can even give them time to think about it and be like, you can get back to me on this. You don't need to give me an answer right now. I just want to share what I'm thinking. And then if they say no, that's fine. You can just go back to being friends. And if they say yes, then yay! One last thing that I'll say is I think sometimes this can be a really stressful situation to try and figure out, do I want to say anything? Do I not want to say anything? It's like so nerve-wracking. And I think at the end of the day, whatever we decide to do, it's gonna be okay. So those are my thoughts on what to do if you're crushing on your best friend, which happens to pretty much all of us. And I would love to hear your thoughts below too. Is there anything you'd add to this video? Love you girls, bye.